Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox. I would like to welcome you to the Sunday Book Review. The Sunday Book Review is the series where I discuss books which impact the compliance practitioner, the legal professional, and the business professional. I hope you will enjoy this episode. May 17, 2020, the Classic Mysteries Edition. Our books today come from the book review, Killing People in Fiction Was Fun, Mysteries That Have Stood the Test of Time by Sarah Weinman from the New York Times. First up, Dorothy L. Sayers, Whose Body, written in 1923. The discovery of a man's body in a bathtub and the subsequent search for his identity provide the narrative engine for Whose Body. But the real pleasure of the novel, conveyed with extra brio by Guy Mott's brisk and lively narration, is a depiction of Lord Peter Wimsey's world as enjoyable fantasy, a place for the harried, the stressed, and the weary to leave their minds elsewhere. This was, of course, the first book with Lord Wimsey by Sayers. Next up comes Agatha Christie, Dame Agatha Christie, in a 1938 mystery, Murder is Easy, which begins on the London-bound train with a happenstance conversation between Luke Fitzwilliam, returning to England from overseas police work, and Lavinia Pinkerton, who confides she's traveling to Scotland Yard to report a serial killer stalking her English village. What's more, she predicts who will be the next victim. When her prophecy comes true, Luke goes to the village to suss out the culprit. While Murder is Easy is good, but not superior Christie, and of course, superior Christie is better than no Christie. Next up, one of my favorite books by one of my favorite authors, Raymond Chandler. Raymond Chandler wrote hard-boiled fiction, which occurs in Los Angeles in the 30s and 40s, with the great Philip Marlowe as the knight in shining armor protagonist in these series of novels. The Big Sleep is one of the most complicated of the hard-boiled murder mysteries I ever read, and indeed, when they were filming the movie, Chandler was wired to ask who killed one character. His return telegraph said, "I don't know." It is widely acclaimed as Chandler's best. His evocative prose suffices this detective story of family secrets, craven lives, mysterious deaths with the romance of the Los Angeles cityscape he had fallen in love with. It is just too great to really put into words, this work of fiction. And when you think about a city as a character, Raymond Chandler and Philip Marlowe certainly provide both of those, and The Big Sleep is literally one of the best. We end with Patricia Highsmith. From the first and unerring sense of what drives ordinary people to extreme lengths, the result is often murder. And Strangers on a Train, her debut novel from 1950, goes far beyond the ingenious, familiar concept of two brand new acquaintances resolving to do one's wife in, except one means it and the other doesn't, to lay bare the roots of miserable marriage, class differences, and obsessive desires. It's a strange, nasty fever of a book and still has the power to shock some 70 years later. While the Hitchcock movie is perhaps better known, it certainly is a very evocative, and Bronson Pinchot's narration conveys a requisite pitch of menace and malice, at once impulsive and premeditated, as well as sly humor that was characteristic of so much of Highsmith's fiction. While her tales about Tom Ripley are certainly more well-known, or perhaps as well-known because of the movie series, Strangers on a Train, for me, is the Patricia Highsmith novel that you need to read to introduce. I hope you've enjoyed this week's selections of classic novels as we move into our now third month of the coronavirus crisis. Having some classic reads is certainly a good way for you to take your mind off where we are right now for a few hours and enjoy some fabulous fiction, some fabulous storytelling by some of the greatest authors in mystery writing. The Sunday Book Review is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network. I hope you'll join me again next week when I review 4 books which caught my eye.